What does locking your loan actually mean? My name's Evan Kaufman, your VA loan originator. So locking a loan is a very important part of the mortgage process. Now, if you're buying a home, you might think, hey, I locked my loan. That means I'm stuck and I'm in it no matter what till close. Well, we're going to dispel that and I'll kind of explain why here throughout this explanation. Because even though you're locking your loan rate in, it doesn't necessarily mean you're locked into that specific loan. Let me explain a little bit about it. Locking your loan effectively means that you're locking the interest rate at that time for the loan that you have. Now, as lenders, we like to be able to tell you, hey, you just got under contract or closing in the next, let's say 30 days or so. Rates are at this rate right now. We can lock it in so you have certainty over the next X number of days that your rate's not going to bounce around. I like to tell folks that prevents you from all the upside risk, meaning that if rates happen to go up, when you lock your loan, you're good. You're there, your rate's not going to change. Now, if rates happen to go down, you have limited options to lower that rate typically. Sometimes we can have a float down provision to make sure we cover if there's any little drop, but if there's a major drop, there can sometimes be a relock on things, but know that you're limited also though on your downside, meaning that if rates go down, you might have to accept that rate that you're at. But the beauty of locking your loan is that you prevent it, so if rates go up, you're okay, you don't have to worry about them going up. Now here's the misnomer. Sometimes folks think that means when I sign my documents that say the loan is locked, that I'm stuck in that loan no matter what. That's not the case. You technically aren't bound to a loan until literally signing day. When you sign the final documents and say, I'm accepting this loan, I'm gonna make these payments, and then that is where it is truly, you could say consummated, where now all of a sudden it is actually your loan, you owe us to do this. Not until the day of closing. Locking a loan can sometimes make you feel like you're locked in, but in reality, you're just locked into that rate. If something changes dramatically, and let's say, for example, we have someone locked for a 30-day period, and there's a drastic change in rates for some reason, or you change homes, you decide to go buy a different home, that lock can change again, and there's a possibility and the ability to change that lock if necessary. So know that locking into a loan doesn't necessarily mean that you're locked into that loan, you have to go with it no matter what. But you're not locked in truly until the end at closing. Now, big final point to that means that if you locked in a rate and you find a different, better deal, be with that same lender that happens to find a different brokered deal or someone else, a different lender for it. We have folks sometimes come to us and we'll say, here's where I'm locked, can anything be different? You can effectively change lenders because you're not locked in to a lender, you're locked in to the rate at that time on that sheet with that specific lender. That's what it puts it to, but you can always still change because again, nothing is truly final until you actually sign at closing. So you want to make sure that you're just paying attention to that throughout your mortgage process. So locking a loan, does it really bind me in all the way? No, it doesn't. That's not necessarily what happens. You are, though, making sure that if you're going to stick with that lender or with us at that time, let's say you locked with us on a rate for 30 days, know that with us, that's most likely going to be your rate. You're protected if rates go up. If rates go down, there's sometimes an ability to get that changed, but know that there's a good chance you're going to stay at that rate that you are. But at least gives you certainty during the mortgage process. Where that can be really big is if you happen to be borrowing and know that if rates go up, it could obliterate your entire loan, meaning that if you're really close on what's called debt to income ratio for some reason on qualifying for the loan, and it's like, hey, if that monthly payment goes up at all, you're jeopardizing your ability to get the loan. It's important to lock that rate where you know you qualify for it, so it gives you more certainty. We have seen in the past where sometimes folks will let that rate, what's called float. That's effectively the opposite of lock. You can start your mortgage process, but the rate's going to float. It's going to float around with wherever rates are until you lock it. And when you lock it, it effectively freezes and locks in that rate at that time. Sometimes people let it float, and if rates happen to go way up and your qualification really hinge on a certain rate and now we're past it, it could blow up your whole mortgage. So that's where we typically see folks locking a loan, usually within that 30-day window or less, sometimes a little further out, maybe 40, 45 days, but usually in that 30-day window, give or take, is where we see most folks decide to lock a loan because they want certainty heading into closing before they close on that home. So you can start planning on what the payments are going to be. So then you can turn your attention more to how am I going to get the home set up? How are we going to coordinate everything? You have inspections, other things to get taken care of. Locking can sometimes help give you that certainty or that level of certainty so you can already start the rest of the process. And remember, if you happen to have a VA loan or conventional loan in that matter too, there's always the ability that if rates happen to get better after you close, you could potentially refinance. So that's always one of the things to let folks know that, hey, if rates happen to get better, There's always a potential of refinancing down the road in the future. If rates get worse, you're going to be happy with the rate that you got. So don't be afraid to lock a loan, but know that that doesn't necessarily mean you're frozen and stuck where you are. There's some of those variable options that we just discussed. Please reach out. Let me know if you have any questions on this. Hope you can go win a home. Take care. Bye.